Okay guys, so we have fought some really interesting foes in Legion so far, what with Xavius in the Emerald Nightmare, Gul'dan in Nighthold, Avatar, and Kil'Jaeden in Tomb. Legion has not had any lack of interesting foes for us to fight thus far. However, in patch 7.3 where we travel to Argus, the story might just become even more interesting than it already is, and the foe that we may run into may also be characters that you would have probably never expected. Before we get started though, I do have to mention that this video will contain spoilers from information on the PTR and data mined information of patch 7.3, so if you do not want to hear any of this information or any of these spoilers, now may be a good time to hop off of this video. However, it should also be noted that although some of this information is available for us to see, nothing is 100% set in stone and things may be subject to change when the patch is finally live and hits the live client. So as some of you may know by now, in 7.3, we will be traveling to Argus for the first time in Warcraft. We will finally be stepping foot onto the Eredar homeworld, where we will unite with long-lost heroes, make contact with Eredar that defied the Legion for thousands of years, and perhaps even encounter old characters now turned enemies. Guys, I am talking about the new raid featured on Argus, on Taurus, the Burning Throne. If you open up your dungeon journal on the PTR, you will find some pretty damn interesting characters featured on the list, 3 to be exact. The first is Eonar, the Lifebinder, which to those of you guys who do not know, is in fact a titan of the Pantheon. The second is Agramar, who fortunately already does have an in-game model, which does in fact look pretty neat. He's also a titan and also like Eonar, a member of the Pantheon. Now at this moment you're probably like, wait, how is that possible? Didn't Sargeras kill the Pantheon way back when in the first book of Chronicle? And you're right, in Chronicle, he does kill the Pantheon. The Titans have a standoff, and Sargeras conjures an enormous spellstorm which engulfs and consumes the Titans, ultimately obliterating their bodies. Now before the entirety of their beings are destroyed, Norgannon, another Titan, conjures a protective spell which weaves an aura around the Titan souls and launches them into the Great Dark, where they reach Azeroth, merge with the Keepers, and a portion of their being is absorbed by Azeroth's Keepers. But if this is so, then how is it possible that the Agramar and Eonar in this raid are the actual Titans themselves? And if they are Titans, then how the shit would we fight them, since they are literally the size, if not bigger, than planets themselves? Well, if you look in the dungeon journal at the description of the third to last boss, named the Coven of Shavara, it is quoted that Shavara priestesses tasked with torturing and brainwashing the souls of the mighty Titans assault the raid together from within their temple deep within the core of Argus. But how is that possible? How did the Legion acquire the souls of the Titans if they are merged with the Keepers? Well, it's in fact possible that they're not. The fact that we encounter Agramar and Eonar in this raid, and also the priestesses who are tasked with corrupting the souls of Titans, means that Sargeras has at least some of the Titanic souls. Maybe he reversed Norgannon's spell work and countered it, ultimately nullifying it, or maybe after the battle was over, he realized that something was not right and discovered that the Titan spirits had survived and wove a spell to capture them and reel them back in. But in Chronicle, it says that Sargeras was unaware that the Titan spirits had survived. Surely if Blizzard was going to pull a card like this in World of Warcraft, they would have left more doors open when writing Chronicle, you would think. The only way I can see them getting around this is how, when the Titan spirits merged with the Keepers experienced power, memories, and knowledge that they had never experienced or possessed prior to this sensation, but just as quickly as this arrived, it vanished. Perhaps it was in that moment that Sargeras realized that the Titan spirits had fled, and after that, he managed to capture them, or at least some of them, Eonar and Agramar. Also, going back to their size, keep in mind guys, Titans are really big, they are huge, but their bodies were in fact destroyed when they went up against Sargeras. Maybe Sargeras constructed new bodies or avatars similar to the scale of that of the Keepers on Azeroth that the Titan souls are now bound to. This is the only way that they'd be on the size of which we can fight and that Argus can ultimately house, unless of course Blizzard pulls another retcon, but I definitely think that something along the lines of the Legion constructing new Titan Forge bodies would suffice, and another retcon that big would probably get a lot of people pissed off. So yeah, let's not do that, Blizzard. Now unfortunately, when looking at Agrimar's description, it's blank as of the time being. There's nothing there, so we don't exactly know why we fight him. Perhaps Sargeras managed to corrupt his soul over the ages that followed their last encounter, and now he's an evil version of his once noble self. His appearance and model definitely supports that theory, since he looks far from what a holy and noble Titan should look like at the moment, with fire seeping out of his body and whatnot, and he also does not look too happy. But Aeonar, however, does have a description, but unfortunately she doesn't have a model yet, so there's always something. Agrimar doesn't have a description, he has a model, and it's reversed with Aeonar. The description of Aeonar says, the forces of the Legion will warp in and charge at Aeonar's essence and attempt to destroy her outright. Players must defend Aeonar until she can gather her energies and strike back at her attackers. So by the looks of it, it sounds as if Aeonar has not been corrupted yet, because why else would we be protecting her? And why else would the Legion be trying to kill her? And as the Legion realizes that they don't have enough time to corrupt her, they instead attempt to outright kill her. By the looks of this, it may seem like we may finally encounter a Titan that, although may not be at her full strength, is not yet corrupted and also not dead, and may possibly help us in our war against the Legion and the Void, if she of course survives this raid and this expansion. Now the last enemy of the raid is the most interesting of all. It is in fact another Titan, but a Titan that you have never heard of before, Argus the Unmaker. Now there is no description in the journal about this guy, but from the looks of it, guys, Argus had a world soul apparently. When you look at some lines delivered in Legion, it does in fact make sense. In the quest Deceiver's Downfall, where you enter the tomb of Sargeras and kill Kil'Jaeden, Velen tells you when you accept the quest, once he was a brother to me, then he bartered the soul of my world for his own power. Before having seen the model and Dungeon Journal raid boss for Argus, I would probably 100% say that that is a metaphor, and you should not look that much into it, because that's like trying to draw for straws. But now I understand why people overanalyze and critically overthink things like Velen's touch on Kil'Jaeden's head. Even the smallest of things may have a link to what will ultimately come and follow in the conclusion of this expansion. Now, I don't think we will fight a Titan on the giant scale as a normal Titan or Sargeras. I think it will be on the same scale as a Keeper, although probably a whole lot bigger and a whole lot stronger. Again, we have no information to base the fight off of, but as for now, all we can do is speculate on the information that we have accessible to us. It is strange though how not even a brief quote about a world soul is mentioned in Chronicle or Rise of the Horde when Sargeras came to Argus and offers power to the Eridar. I can understand not in Rise of the Horde because that was kind of a while ago, but Chronicle was rather recent, quite recent, to the point of where you think they would have this figured out and would integrate something along the lines of that in the book, especially if they're gonna go with that execution in Legion. But maybe, you know, maybe they didn't think it through, or maybe they came up with it at the last second, or maybe they just wanted to throw a curveball and really shock everybody. I don't exactly know what their mentality is behind this, but whatever the reason that they might have, this next raid doesn't look like one that I will want to miss, so I am pretty damn stoked out right now. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It really helps the channel and it helps me to do what I'm able to do, and put a comment down below to share your guys' thoughts on the matter, or any thoughts that perhaps I might have missed in the video, or maybe your own theories and speculation, whatever. It'll be interesting for me to read those, and I'm sure a lot of people down there will have their own debates and will want to read what you have to say in your mind as well. And also, thank you very much to my good friend Mr. Kakio for bringing this to my attention. Now, when he actually brought this to my attention, he was high off of what he said was from sniffing glue, and it was kind of hard to decipher what he was saying because he was just slurring his words. But at the end of it, all I heard was lore, PTR, and data mine. So using common sense to piece these together like a puzzle, that's what led me up to this video. Again, guys, thank you all so much for the support, and I will see you next time.